All right, guys, thanks so much for joining the magic of the 2-1 buy down and how it works. In today's webinar, I'm going to go through the most popular mortgage products in Q4 of 2022, something I'm sure is going to be the most popular mortgage product in early 2023 for the very least. A lot of reasons why it's the best mortgage product or the most popular right now, and I'll get into that. So we are going to record this. It'll be live on YouTube. I'm going to take questions at the end. If anybody has any questions, please feel free in the questions box to ask those. There's real estate agents, there's consumers, there's fellow loan originators that I know are going to join. And so any and all questions, please, because if you have the question, somebody else likely does as well. I'm going to jump right into it and try to get through it relatively quickly, just so you have a basic idea of how it works. And like all mortgage products, if you have a basic idea, you want to dig into your specific scenario and see how it affects you, your buying power, your mortgage payment, and all that good stuff. So off we go. The magic of the 2-1 buy down and how it works. Titled this, even though people are probably going to ask, what about the 1-0 buy down or the 1-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down I've heard of? We have all those products. It just so happens the 2-1 buy down happens to be the most popular, whether that's the sweet spot and the amount of credit we can get from a seller to make this work, whether it's, you know, how quick people think they're going to refinance, whatever the case, the 2-1 buy down just happens to be the most popular. So that's the one I'm going to show examples of, but know that we have 1-0 buy down, 1-1 buy down, 3-2-1 buy down, and a lot of other lenders do as well, but the 2-1s where we'll focus today. All right, so before I jump into the specific product, just talking about 2022 mortgage rate dynamics, inflation, where inflation is going, how the Fed rate hikes are affecting mortgage interest rates today and into 2023, price drops, adjustments, seller credits. I'll show you, because this is important, max seller credit for every loan product, because when you're getting seller credit to do things like the buy down, you're going to want to know if you're buying you know, conventional with less than 10% down, conventional with more than 10% down, doing FHA, doing VA, how all that's gonna be affected with what your maximum seller credit is. So real quick, and I won't spend too much time on it because I got plenty of other YouTube videos you can watch on inflation. I literally just recorded something this morning talking about the importance of the December 13th CPI number. I think inflation is going to continue to come down. I think that, you know, if we're not in a recession, we're headed into one, and a lot of data supports that. With inflation coming down in a recession, which it will, there's going to be less economic activity during a recession. That's going to pull inflation down. Inflation coming down is going to pull interest rates down. And so part of the reason why the 2-1 buy down is such a popular product is because we expect rates to be lower in the future. This 2-1 product allows us to get a lower interest rate for the next couple years, or in the case of the 3-2-1 for the next 3 years. If interest rates come down, and we think they will, you refinance any additional seller concession that's left that you haven't used, buying down your payments for the first couple of years, gets refunded to you as the buyer, right? And we'll go into specific examples so that really you can see with numbers what that means. Real quick on mortgage rates and recessions. The purple lines are recessions. This thin line is interest rates, and I'm not going to you know, make any jokes about oh, I bought a home when interest rates were 17.5%, Billy, and be a boomer that's talking about rates not being that high, because compared to when they bought, they're much higher. But this chart does a good job of showing you what mortgage rates do during recessions, right? And I probably don't even have to say it out loud. Mortgage rates come down when we're in recessions. And so I won't belabor this point, right? Just knowing that we're in a recession or headed to one, and inflation is starting to come down, you can put 2 and 2 together and say it's more likely than not that the 6.5, the 6.25, the 6% you see today is likely to be lower in the future from a 30-year fixed rate mortgage perspective. Okay, off we go. Like I said, seller concessions are going to depend on what type of loan product you are in. And on the conventional side, it actually matters how much your down payment is as well. When you're giving seller concessions to do a 2-1 buy down, you're asking the seller for 15, 16, 18,000 in credit. Make sure that you understand, whether you're a buyer or a real estate agent or a fellow loan officer, what the max is that the seller can contribute, right? If you're putting less than 10% down on a conventional loan, the seller can contribute up to 3%. If you're putting 10 to 25% down, the seller can contribute 6%. It's up here on the slide that greater than 25%, you can get 9% seller concessions. I can tell you that's likely never going to happen, right? There's just not enough things to use on the buyer side of the transaction where you're going to ever want, need, or be able to use 9% of seller concessions. So the top two are the most important. 3% if you're putting less than 10% down, 6% max seller concession, contribution, credit, whatever you want to call it, if you're putting 10 to 25% down. And then on the government-backed loans, FHA is 6%, VA is 4% with an asterisk, right? Because it can be slightly higher depending on the scenario. USDA is 6%. Yes, you can do the buy down on these government-backed loans. So whether you're doing any type of loan, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, you can do a buy down. That's a popular question. Okay, so a quick example of the 2-1 buy down for people that don't understand really how it works at all. You have a 5% quote unquote market rate, and this is an example, right? Example only, not an intent to lend, not an offer. 30-year fixed rate isn't exactly at 5% today, right? But for this example, you've got a 5% interest rate. You're going to get $7,332 in credit to fund this buy down, which is going to make your year one payment $1,476, a savings of $403 a month. Year two payment $1,671, which is a savings of $208 a month. Although it shows you, 2% interest rate reduction in year one, 1% interest rate reduction in year two. Really what you want to focus on is I'm just saving $400 a month in year one, $200 a month in year two, and you'll see why, because for all intents and purposes, this is a 30-year fixed with a supplemented payment in years 1 and 2, right? And so that's a quick example of the 2-1, and then the 1-0 is just 1% lower in year one, and then back to that market start rate, whatever you want to call that rate, years 2 through 30, right? In the last slide, it's year 1, year 2, and years 3 through 30. In the 3-2-1 example, you're going to have year 1, year 2, year 3, and years 4 through 30. So hopefully that explains that with examples. I think it really kind of nails down for you exactly what this looks like. So here is a sheet that we send to buyers to really kind of show them exactly what it's going to look like. For this example, we've got a $500,000 purchase with 5% down. And so $500,000 sales price, $475 as the loan amount. 6.25 is the market rate for the specific scenario. And you can actually have this start rate be whatever you have, the whole rate sheet available to you just as you would on a regular 30-year fixed, meaning you might have 6.5% at zero cost. This 6.25 might be a half of a point. 599 might be a point, right? None of this is an intent to lend. None of this is, this is for educational purposes only. So I want to make sure I state that and not, be non-compliant here. But 6.25 is the start rate in this example. Year one, we're basing the payment off of a 4.25 interest rate, and year two, we're basing it off a 5.25 interest rate, saving rough math $600 in year one and $300 in year two. Now, for the real estate agents who are watching, or for the buyers or sellers who are watching, the reason why this product is such a popular product is because this $10,675 that's required and it says seller subsidy. There's actually a way to do it with the buyer paying this, but I'm focused on the seller subsidy because I think it applies in today's market, right? We're in a market where sellers are willing to give credits. Sellers are willing to lower their price. This is, for a lot of markets, Sacramento, where I'm based, for sure, not that hard to get this $10,675 credit. You give the seller what they want with a $500,000 purchase. You get this $10,000 credit, so they're netting roughly $490. If you paid $490 and you didn't do this, then your payment would go down roughly $50. And so you'd be paying $35.50 a month. And instead of lowering the price by $10,000, you say, well, I'll use this subsidy to do the buy down. Now you're saving $600 a month in year one, $300 in year two. Back to my previous point that I really truly believe rates are coming down. A lot of smart people are on that same train. If you get to the end of year one and the rate's going to 5.25 and interest rates are in the low fives, you might just say, okay, I can refinance to a 30-year fix for 4.99. Now I'm going to lock my rate in at 4.99. That payment might be, $32.50. Whatever's left over of this seller subsidy that hasn't been used yet gets refunded to the buyer. And that's an important piece. If you pay points to buy down your interest rate permanently, and you say, well, what if I take the $10,000 and I buy down my interest rate? Well, what if the $10,000 gets you to 5.75% and interest rates decrease in 2023 and you can refinance to 4.99? What you spent on a permanent buy down is permanently gone. What you spent on a permanent buy down is a sunk cost. You cannot get that back. In this case, whatever's left over of this seller subsidy would get refunded to you if you refinance within the first 2 years. Hopefully that made sense. Happy to clear that up for anybody who's got questions on that, but it's really powerful for a number of reasons. One of them being the fact that the buyer gets that money back when they refinance, if they refinance. They don't have to, right? But if an opportunity arises, then you can. And on the other side of the coin, for people that are like, well, this is an adjustable rate and this is kind of scary, 6.25 is the market rate. That's the worst it can be. And if you never touch this loan, it would essentially function like a 30-year fixed at 6.25. So for the people who are doom and gloom and rates are going to 10% and the sky is falling, you're locked into 6.25 years 3 through 30. It's never going to go higher than that. Okay, so that's worst case scenario, is that you just go into this 30-year fixed at 6.25%. That's the rate that you have to qualify for. So people have that question as well, like, do I have to qualify for this payment or that payment or that payment? You qualify for the payment for years 3 through 30, the maximum, right? And in that way, you're protected in that you're not gonna have a debt to income ratio that only qualifies you for year one, then year 2 through 30, figure it out. Hopefully things improve for you. No, it's not how it works. So that's that. Here is the calculator. And I think that although you're not going to use this calculator as a buyer or as a agent even, it's important to see it so that you understand when we plug in the numbers of a $475 loan and a 6.25 start rate, market rate, whatever you want to call it. $587.94 is what you save in the first 12 months every month on your payment. You save $301.69 in year 2. All that savings added up is the $10,675 that you're going to get in credit to cover that buy down. Now, to my point about getting a refund, if you get through 12 months and it's about to adjust, but you paid exactly 12 payments, you've got $3,600 left in subsidy that hasn't been used. You refinance to 4.99%, and it's November of 2023. That $3,620 comes back to you as the buyer as a principal reduction. And so instead of owing $472, you get a payoff of $468,400. Had to do some quick math there. Hopefully I nailed it. Okay, live example of a 2-1 buy down. And I think this is important for people to actually see what a loan estimate looks like, right? Loan estimate is going to look like this, where it's got the 4.5% for here, 5.5% in the middle, and 6.5% here. This is a loan that we closed in November of 2022, 340 purchase, 20% down, 6.5 was the start rate, right? Goes as high as 6.5 in year 3. Keep in mind, it might vary lender to lender. And I've spoke with high-level compliance people at lenders across the country. Some of them are disclosing exactly like a 30-year fixed for compliance reasons, and then letting the loan originators kind of explain it to the buyer. So you want to work with a lender you like and trust, so that if there's dots to be connected, you trust that that's actually happening. You trust that you're in a 2-1 buy down. There's going to be a line in there that says 2-1 buy down. It's going to show a certain amount of money going to the lender, $9,642 or whatever the number is. But sometimes it's hard to connect the dots. And so you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who, 1, knows what they're doing, 2, can explain it to you so that you feel comfortable with it. Okay. And here's what I mean. Closing disclosure on all the 2-1 buy downs I've done, and my office has done a lot, is going to look like this. And this essentially looks like a 30-year fixed, right? 6.5%. This is the same loan we just looked at on the 2-1 buy down, where we've got 3 different payment numbers, right? 1786, 1952, 2127. Their insurance went up by $23 when they locked in their insurance. Homeowners, that's why this number actually varies. This is a real deal, right? So it's going to look like a 30-year fixed, and you're going to have to, as a buyer, as an agent, as a loan originator, be able to put the puzzle pieces together. Yes, this is a 2-1 buy down. Yes, it shows it here in line 27 on page 24. Here's what your payment's going to look like in year 1. Here's what's going to look like in year 2. I got so many questions about, like, what is my mortgage statement going to look like? So guess what I did? I reached out to those same compliance heads at lenders across the country and said, I want to see a mortgage statement, what people are going to see after they close the loan. Here you go. $400,000 loan, 6.336 is the start rate, market rate, interest rate, whatever you want to call it. 2-1 buy down. So in this case, they're going to save $497 a month in year 1. Year 2 is probably somewhere in the $250 a month range, right? Their payment is all of this combined, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, minus that $497.34 in subsidy. And it shows up here on their account just like any other escrow charge or credit would on your mortgage statement. So every month for the first 12 months, you'll see this $497 in credit. Their payment due will be $23.95. Doing some quick math, if we added back that $497, their fully amortized payment for years 3 through 30 is going to have this $497 added back, $28.92 or whatever it's going to be, right? So $28.92 minus the subsidy is the $23.95. That's what's due. That's what they'll pay every month for the first 12 months. Then this other credit extracting from this subsidy they have is going to show up every single month in year 2, giving them whatever that payment is. My guess is $26.50-ish, right? And then finally it gets back to the full payment of, what do we say that was? $28.92-ish. So that's what it's going to look like on the mortgage statement. That's all I've got, and I don't want to, go into, wild into depth. This is going to be recorded. This is going to live on YouTube. Feel free in the YouTube comments to ask questions. I'll jump in there as I do, trying to help as many people as I can with questions in the YouTube comments. But hopefully this helped shed some light on it. I mentioned briefly, but I didn't jump into it. Yes, 3-2-1 buy down. Yes, 1-0 buy down. Yes, 1-1 buy down. Some people haven't heard of the 1-1 buy down. I'm sure there's lenders out there that haven't. 1-1 is 1% lower in year 1 and then 1% lower in year 2. So it's a unique situation where you probably don't have enough credit to do the 2-1 and you do the 1-1. But another thing that is worth mentioning as well, it's rolled out in the last week. You can also have a buyer funded buy down. And the way it works is a little bit complicated, but I can simplify it by just saying it's going to show up in box A just like points would show up. So you're gonna pay that $9,500 yourself and set it in an escrow account if that's something you're looking to do. And you can do that in the case where maybe you need $9,500 in credit for the buy down. Seller's only willing to give $6,000. Okay, fine, seller. I'm going to pay the $8,500, and I see that on my fees as a buyer as a loan level price adjustment, and then I'll take $6,000 in credit from you to offset that, right? So that's that. Let me jump into some questions. If you have any questions, please feel free. I know some people jumped on late. Know that this is going to be recorded. I'll share this with the YouTube universe, and I'll also have it dispersed via email to anybody who's on any list there. So the question came through: what happens if someone tries to refinance? Absolutely no prepayment penalties. So, after 6 months, you're able to refinance this thing. If rates improve, you're going to have a pretty nice looking interest rate for the first 12 months. So my guess is that most people are going to look to refinance it somewhere around that first adjustment, right? Somewhere around 12 months in, but there's no prepayment penalty, meaning you can refinance it at any time. And the bonus for you is that whatever's left in that seller subsidy, whatever's left in that escrow account comes back to you, right? And for anybody who missed that, whatever credits you get to fund this 2-1 buy down, if it's a seller funded 2-1 buy down, 10,675 or something was our example. That sits in your escrow account, and month by month you get that discount. In one of the examples we saw, it was $497 a month. If you refinance and pay this loan off, whatever's remaining in there is going to go back to you as the buyer as a principal reduction. So that's that. I think that if there's no more questions, I'll just leave it to the YouTube comment section. If people want to ask questions there, you can connect with me and my team. If you go to greatmortgagebroker.com and fill out a form and you want to get pre-approved, you want to look at your own specific scenarios and how the 2-1 buy down works, go ahead and do that, greatmortgagebroker.com. If you want to connect with me and my team and just ask a question, feel free to email us, team@mtmg.com, and we'll get back to you and answer questions there. So hopefully this was helpful. I know this product is super, super popular with good reason. It's a great product for consumers. It's a way for sellers to give some concessions to make home ownership more possible, more affordable in a market where affordability is an issue for a lot of folks. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. And again, any questions, go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the form, we'll be in touch, or contact my team at mtmg.com. Thanks for watching.